Welcome, everyone. This is a Walk for Change interview. My name is Bobby Rodrigo, and I'll be your host today. So, just a little bit about the Walk for Change. It's important that we continue to remind everybody about what it is that is happening and what we're all a part of. So, the Walk for Change is an action movement. You know, we are about boots on the ground, and we are trying to empower people for human rights, essentially. And all the issues that encompass that subject, because the tentacles are very long: ending prohibition, criminal justice reform, farm to the table, helping our veterans in all ways, in homelessness, in proper medical care, in dealing with PTSD, the plant medicine, proper medical care for everyone, taking care of our planet, all of these things and many more, and the things that impact you and your input into what the Walk for Change is about. So I'm really happy about today's show in the sense that it has a connection to Puerto Rico, which is very important to me. For those of you that know me, I was involved as a logistics lead and a creator of one of the largest private relief efforts in the history of this country after Hurricane Maria impacted the islands of the Caribbean, particularly U.S. Virgin Islands, Dominica, Puerto Rico, of course, and other places in the Caribbean. So it was very important work that we all were involved in, and proud to be a part of that and to have successes that we did. And of course, the island continues to go through struggles of various kinds. As you know, there was a major political event last July where the governor was ousted by the people, which was kind of nice to see. And that's really important to talk about, and not so much in this interview, but just a little bit, you know, how people make change, because it was the people on the island of Puerto Rico, which is part of the United States, of course, that removed the governor. The continued protest, the continued nonviolent protest, the civil disobedience that was going on, that refused to stop, was relentless until the governor resigned. So lately, Puerto Rico has gone through some more traumatic events, both politically and more importantly to the communities where there have been a series of earthquakes that have happened. And as such, as is our way, the human race's way, and the people of the island of Puerto Rico have been doing, is the community response to help their fellow man has been immense. Again, I've been in contact with so many people that I've met, knew before Maria, know since Maria, involved in so many relief efforts. And I've made some new friends as well during this particular thing that has been happening and the recovery that continues to go on from it. So one of those people I'm going to have as my guest today. This is a church in Puerto Rico, the Cannabis Church of Puerto Rico. So you have many sides of that dynamic. You know, you have a church, which, as we know, one of the places where the communities can always get some kind of help in a crisis, particularly, but in all kinds of ways, of course, not just in a crisis, but again, this seems to be a prominent part of a church's life in helping respond to tragedies and events. Our churches, of course, and it's no different in Puerto Rico through all of this, and this is the Cannabis Church of Puerto Rico. And of course, ending prohibition is a big part of my life personally, and a big part of the Walk for Change as well. And the cannabis community in Puerto Rico has stepped up, it continues to step up in empowering the community, and not just after the tragedy. This was going on before, and that is very important as well. So I want to introduce to you Pastor Jeremy Scott Jacobson. So this is Pastor Jeremy Scott Jacobson. And welcome to the Walk for Change interview, Pastor. It's very nice of you to stop by and spend some time with me. How are you today?
Doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. It's nice to have you on the show, or I don't know if I call this a show, but it's nice to have you here anyway. I was just telling everybody a little bit about the Cannabis Church, and I like to save the good parts for the guests because it is your world and not mine. So I definitely want you to share about it. I understand that you're right now in a smoke shop, if I understand that correctly. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm in the Condado Market in Ocean Park. This is one of the few smoke shops that gives back to the community. This one here gives water and peanut butter and jelly to the homeless for our activities, so we can pass them out.
That's fantastic. So again, and just to be clear, because I was telling everybody a little bit about how I met you and how you've been involved in the response to the recent earthquake events. But I want to point out to everybody that your work in the community and the work of, for example, this smoke shop in the Condado Market, which I'm very familiar with, of course, was doing this before the earthquakes and continues to do it. It's separate from the earthquake. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's found. So the homeless community there, how prominent is it? How? Give me a description of that.
One more time, please.
The homeless people there, the homeless community on the island of Puerto Rico. To give me an idea of how bad it is there, please.
The churches help. Some of the Catholic churches help.
Do you have a lot of homeless people there?
Yeah. There is. I don't know the total population.
Sure.
Like I say, I'm only limited to San Juan area. But there, I treat the heroin addicts. We do the needle change, take one, give one, every Wednesday at 8. And we used to find roughly around, every Wednesday we pick up the needles. We found maybe 80 needles every Wednesday on the ground. Then we started doing this program, and we're treating maybe 30 addicts. We have a doctor on site that goes with us. He's the owner of a dispensary, and we give clean needles for dirty needles. That way we won't find them on the street. And we do put up syringe kits, like sharp containers, but the hospital tears them down because they say it tracks the wrong image. They don't have nowhere to put them, so they put them on the ground, and the kids go by them and they pick them up and they get hepatitis or something. And
Yeah, I mean, it's so I was not aware. Again, as I get to know you, these things to me are marvelous. I have to tell you personally, the work that you're doing. When I hear things like that, it's important, and for so many reasons, because you're doing it. And I was co-founder of an organization called We Do Better, and what We Do Better means is we, the people, do better than the government in delivering public benefits to the community. And the idea was to prove that by data, for example. So what you're doing is an example of that, as far as I'm concerned, because here you are providing a service that could certainly be done with our taxpayer money if it was being allocated correctly. And I don't want to go down into a political hole or anything. I just think it's important to know that there are people in the community that are doing the things necessary to help their community. I mean, what gave you the idea of doing the needle exchange program?
Oh, my son, actually, he walked almost on a needle one day. Then the following day, he actually tried to pick one up, and I knew at that time I needed to start doing something. And that started getting me aware that the problem don't lie in the addiction. It lies in the problem where to put the needles and how to treat it. Because the addicts, they're human. They want to be treated as human, not as something that trash that people look at. They need to be helped. They don't need to be on the street. They need a place for them. There are brothers and sisters. They need help. They don't need to be thrown away like garbage. It's just sad that the Puerto Rico government or the dispensaries the cannabis dispensaries can't even put up money for a building for them, a halfway house or anything. I mean, these people, they're smart. They speak 2 or 3 languages. They read books. They're not stupid. They're very intelligent. They're just needing help. And one step at a time.
Yeah, you raised so many points there again. So when we were talking offline earlier today, you had mentioned something to me about the taxes that are paid to the government from the industry, for example, and that I'll let you talk about it on what you are seeing or not seeing with the tax money that's being raised by cannabis. Give us a little soundbite on that.
Not one thing am I saying. This is my personal opinion again, but I'm expressing it as a person that's been around the cannabis community a lot. They're not doing anything for the streets. No bottles of water is getting returned for the homeless or a women's shelter or anything like that. It's just not right. Where's the money going? Where's the tax money going? And I know that board members are getting fired for being naughty, but nothing's being raised about it. New people get in the board, new people leave.
And which board are you talking about here?
The medical board, the board that oversees all the dispensaries. And they've been known to crack heads on the mommy and poppy dispensaries and against the corporate, because the corporation's always going to have the leverage on the mom and poppies. Mm-hmm. And if the mommy and poppy dispensary gets in the way of the corporations, they'll throw up a lawsuit or something and get them shut down. And that's sad because they're the ones that actually give something back to the community. And without them.
So you're discussing, of course, we all know in our society that the rich tend to be able to do some influencing, that because they get to pay for the lobbying and things like that. And again, I'm not trying to go down a hole. I want to focus on the good works that you do and the good works that the dispensaries do. And so let's talk a little bit about the earthquake. So you're obviously on the island. How long have you been on the island?
A little over 15 years.
Fantastic. So it's obviously you're part of the community that's impacted. You're not just somebody who went out there. You are part of the community. And so talk a little bit about the earthquake itself. I mean, did it hopefully did not impact you personally or your home personally?
Well, it didn't affect me personally. My feeling, I don't know how to say it. I did get affected because I seen the people suffering, so I wanted to help.
Sure, of course.
And I wasn't the only one that helped. There was other people that's helped. The island came together. Like I said earlier, there was an hour line getting to the Ponce just to help because other communities bringing water. So many tents. Diesel fuel was delivered. It was a big community outreach and it was loved. And that's where it should have been for Maria as well.
Well, yeah, Maria is a huge rabbit hole, as you know, I was deeply involved with, and I totally understand. So the earthquake itself, from my interaction with people over there, I did not go over to the island during it, but I was interacting, as you know, which is how you and I met. The majority of the damage was throughout the southern part of the island, like Ponce, as you mentioned, and Guyana and other places around there. Is that correct?
One more time, please.
The majority of the damage, the most impacted areas was the southern part of the island, like Ponce and Guyana. Is that correct?
That is correct. Just the southern side.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know that a lot of Scott Slavin, who introduced us, for example, and Cannabis dispensary owner down there, great, fantastic, absolutely. Who I know was involved. He actually, the reason him and I were talking was because, hey, what can we do? And he says, well, let me introduce you to Jeremy. And and right away you were, okay, let's do this, let's do that, let's connect the dots. It's a great thing. It really is.
I was waiting on you. I was waiting on somebody like you. As soon as you
well, that's nice to hear.
I went out, I reached the dispensaries, and 5 or 6 dispensaries donated. We had a big collection. Then we just drove it up there and dropped them off.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Community empowerment's a great thing, and helping people is a marvelous thing. But you raise some really important issues. When it comes to where's the tax money going and how's it, and we see a lot of reports, of course, about this issue. For example, Colorado is very good. I did a story not too long ago, or reported on a story about Aurora, Colorado, having a recreational community center built on the basis of tax money that was earned by the cannabis industry. You're not seeing that there, is that correct?
Nothing. Like I said, not even a shelter to keep the rain off the homeless. They just won't. Some of the dispensaries won't even give a bottle of water. It's like,
well, before we even get to the private part of it, the taxation is a government thing first. I mean, so you basically what you're describing, how I look at it, and you please correct me if I'm wrong, is you have the tax money that's not being used for the community, that's being earned by the cannabis industry, by the government, and then you have a portion of the cannabis industry that is making a lot of money hand over fist, also not giving back to the community. Am I reading that right?
That's correct.
Amazing, amazing. All right, so let's focus on the positive. That's always my preferred way anyway, and solutions. So let's talk about your church, because you already mentioned one program that you're doing, and then you talked about the smoke shop where you are, that feeds the homeless. Tell me about some other things that you are working on or that you promote with your church.
Okay, well, my church was founded in 2018, right after Maria. It was more for the spiritual concept of cannabis, but I also wanted to give back to the community 100%. So we created this church, and well, through this church, we are doing kite activities with the Jorge's Children's Hospital needle exchange program. We feed 151 homeless people. We do peanut butter and jelly sandwich handouts on Sundays when the churches can't do that. We just try to help when we can help. But like I said, it's hard because sometimes people just don't want to help, and I'm stuck crying because I wanted to do something, and the dispensary say no. So
well, hopefully you talking on this show and getting the word out there more, is a development. I've learned for over the years, and I'm sure you've seen it too, is sometimes it takes everything about compassion takes too long, of course. I mean, you want to help now, but let's let everybody know that you're there and what you're doing, pass it around and let the people come to you a little bit and say, hey, because I know that's going to happen. And there are so many good people on the island, like anywhere else, and a lot of people probably don't know about you. I mean, you're not out there doing marketing, right? I mean, you're out there doing the work, so let me do a little marketing for you. Let's put you out there and let everybody know that you're doing. That's
pretty, yeah.
Well, it's important, and you know what I mean. We need to let the world know that there's people like you out there anywhere, wherever people are, because we're doing the work. Yeah, it is. So what's coming up next? So what do you? I mean, you're talking about you feed the homeless. You have the giveaway, the food giveaway on Sundays, and you have the needle program. So what's up next for you? Like, just describe this week for me. This coming week. What do you got going on?
Okay, well, we're redoing a community library, a street library that got burnt. So we're doing it this week. And we're also, Monday, we have a kite activity where we're giving out 151 kites, free water, apple, oranges, and information on CBD. And we bring up the Children's Hospital and just the cannabis community that are less fortunate, that just can't afford stuff like that, but needs to be there.
So where is this happening? This is right in San Juan. Can you tell everybody where this is going on? I'll pass it on.
It's in Old San Juan in Puerto. It's the first. We had the first cannabis activity recognized on federal property. Since our church is recognized federally and Commonwealth as a cannabis church, we have all rights as any other church, and we use our First Amendment right to have activities on federal properties for children and stuff like that.
Well, that's fantastic. So I don't know if you've seen it a couple of years ago with the wonderful leadership of the Goodness Tour, the murals that are in Old San Juan. We created that as part of a children's art festival, an international art festival. So when you're around there, please take a look. I can send you some pictures. The fantastic work of Benjamin Suartez and all the other artists, and the paintings themselves, the actual work. After the designs were done by children who live on the island. So it was a marvelous experience, and the artwork is amazing, and it's all through Old San Juan. So please take a peek while you're there. And again, this is about the good works of good people. There's so many that there are marvelous people on that island all the time, just like anywhere else. And what you're doing, what you just described is fantastic. And of course, the children, right? Children. The old song, "Children are our future." Remember when we were growing up, we were listening to that? It is so true. It is so true. So you have children, you're a family man. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm a ordained pastor, quite like you.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. It's okay. I know you do. That's good. I am a pastor in Puerto Rico. It's amazing. Go on. I'm sorry.
I'd be honored. Anyway, I have 2 boys. Well, that's about it. I like boogie board, and I got scratched up on my nose doing stand. And my main focus is the community. I spent a lot of time thinking what I could do for the community and how to better it.
That's fantastic. So one of the reasons why, of course, I wanted everybody to meet you, and you know about the Walk for Change, and I know you're learning more about it as you know the interactions continue, but you know we're about trying to change things in our society, so many different places. So my question to you is, why do you walk for change?
To see smiles on people's faces.
Nice. And I like it. I like simple. And for people to smile, it works to the core. Well, how do people get a hold of you?
Excuse me?
How do people find you? How do people get a hold of you? Where are you?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram, Cannabis Church of Puerto Rico. We did have a web page, but I'd rather spend the money on the community than a web page, so I shut that down. And you can come to Puerto Rico, ask a dispensary. I'm there.
Fantastic. A pleasure to have you on, Pastor. I appreciate all the work that you're doing. I'm going to make sure many people see this as possible. Love to have you come back. When I'm on the I know I'm going to be on the island in about 2 months, so I'll certainly come and see you. Yeah, absolutely. We'll certainly we'll sit down and do this together live, which will be nice for sure.
That would be cool. We do have full moon parties, so
fantastic.
Come when there's a full moon. We have a great time, a spiritual time.
That's fantastic. Well, you be well, and the best to you always. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pastor Jeremy Scott Jacobson. It doesn't get any better than that when you have somebody doing pure of heart things. It is fantastic. So again, everybody, the Walk for Change. Walk, the number 4, change.us. Please come and check us out. See what we're doing. You can find us everywhere. This is about empowering people for human rights. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. I look forward to seeing you again. Take care.